Welcome to Rockin' Kentucky Blue, the podcast where we are serious about our Cats. Join two card-carrying Blue Rockin' members of the Big Blue Nation as they keep you up to date on the latest happenings of the University of Kentucky Wildcats. Here are your hosts, one calm member of the sports media, Michelle Mamba Brown, and one crazy fan, Jay Hayes.
Good Monday morning. Welcome to Rockin' Kentucky Blue. Am I muted now?
No.
Okay.
No. See, I'm on the ball with it today.
You can say that,
but I mean,
episode 62, which last week was titled
I Got Nothing.
Because we truly had, we had more in a pandemic with no sports than we had last week.
Right. Wasn't much going on. So
Jerry says good morning. Obviously, he's getting started early on trying to disrupt things.
Yeah, and dang, someone's late. And
Not late.
It wasn't me this time.
Well, when you sit down at your computer at 9:46 to log in, one would expect to be, at worst, everything ready to go by 9:50.
Right.
And that didn't happen.
No.
And then when I got logged on, because Jay is like so wrong, his error went from his computer to mine.
Yeah.
And we're not even in the same county. Just like to point that out.
Let's go ahead and say, so the issues.
I never said that you were wrong about the issues. No, I said that you had too many toys.
Wow. And that wasn't the case.
Apparently StreamYard and Windows have both done update because Windows has had a recent update. Right. StreamYard did a recent update. If StreamYard were a smart company, they would understand that you plan your updates to occur after major Windows updates and you have a chance to test them before you unleash them on the public.
Right.
I worked in IT for 25 years and we have web apps too. And we would have to, and besides we had the back end, which was running on IBM systems. So if our IBM software had an update, we'd have to do that and test on that. But if Windows came out with something, we'd have to wait until the Windows update was done, test that with the new app or any modifications, and then, and only then, could we release it on the public. And that's probably how come we were.
Right.
We had about a 98.9% uptime, which I think that's actually otherworldly in the land of web servers. So,
right. We're both looking a bit tired today.
I don't look tired. I look like this every day. I'm the person who averages 3 hours of sleep a night. This is me.
Right.
I thought you grind every day, Jeff.
That's what I do.
No, you don't. It's easy. It's easy for you to say that when you're not working.
I'm trying to tell you, if you're trying to keep up with my grind, you better pack a big lunch because it's a chore. I'm telling you, that's what I do. It's what I do, and I go hard. But I'm just saying, I was up really late last night.
Well, we all were. Anybody that's a Blue Rockin' card carrying member of the BBN, they were up late last night because if all you do is stay up for basketball games,
right,
then that's weak sauce. Weak sauce. I'm telling you. If you want to tell me that you are dyed in the wool, true blue through and through, and that it's all cats everything, then you stayed up and waited until 11:35 for the beginning of a volleyball match. And first off, before we talk about that, can we talk about how ridiculous it is that the women actually get the shaft?
Yeah.
Why on earth? Why they only have 2 courts, first of all.
Right.
This is the NCAA championships.
Right.
They should have had a court for each region. That would have, I mean, still you would have, prior to getting to the Sweet 16 or the regional finals, you'd still have maybe some delays. But they did just as good a job scheduling the times as ESPN does for basketball.
Yeah. Man, it was kind of criminal.
It was.
Play 11:35 on a Sunday night.
It was supposed to start at 10, and based on how quickly the Cats took care of business, they would have been done at 11:35.
Yeah.
But you have to go back to, let's see, Florida and Ohio State went late.
Yeah.
But the match before them went late.
Well, usually you plan for those things.
Well, here's the whole thing. And 45 minutes between them matches, they must have had some geriatric folks doing the cleanup and sanitizing, because it should not take.
Right. I mean, at least they are cleaning.
I mean, and I appreciate the fact that they're doing that. But the NCAA, they didn't have to go 45 minutes between games. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Yeah.
But of course, those were men on the court, so.
You got a point. The women have been getting crapped on for a while. And I mean, this game wasn't even going to be televised, was it? Or covered?
Well, the first two rounds, which would have been, because we got a bye in the first round.
Right.
And we played UNLV Thursday.
Yeah.
Or Friday. Thursday. It's been a long weekend. We played them at some point, is what I'm saying.
Thursday.
Because it seemed like a long time. They got to play again tonight.
Yeah. And hopefully they have the late game.
And how is it that the overall number 2 seed gets the nightcap, literally nightcap, as Kentucky just getting screwed? Yeah. But I think that based on what they did last night to Western, one might think that Western, because they didn't have a seed number next to their name,
right?
Western must have just lucked into this thing. They're not going to be that tough of an opponent. Did you read Hunter Mitchell's breakdown of Western? I mean, they were one of the top 2 teams nationally.
Yeah.
Unfortunately for them, the other top team nationally is Kentucky.
Right. Well, I was listening to the announcers too. They were like, don't be fooled about this Western Kentucky team. They're really good, but Kentucky is playing at that championship level.
They were playing otherworldly. It was. I mean, I watched Nebraska play yesterday. I watched Minnesota and Pitt.
Right. Well, I saw some Minnesota and Pitt game.
Yeah, I know you did, because you thought you were tuning into Kentucky.
I was like, "Where's the game at?" And you was like, "Oh, spoiler alert!"
They're just playing the last set of that, because it was a good match. But now they're calling Pittsburgh the Cinderella of the tournament.
Wow. Yeah, that was the upset.
That was indeed. Of course, now Louisville got bounced yesterday.
Wow.
And with us having to bounce, it was either us or Western. So if we only could have one team from the state, sorry, Western.
Right. I mean,
but
congratulations to them for being there.
And I mean, absolutely full respect for that program, because I was actually really nervous about that match last night, because you get an hour and a half delay, which. Granted, Western had to deal with that too. So, I mean, that should be kind of an even thing, but It's so easy when you have a delay like that to lose focus.
Yeah.
We've seen it happen to the softball Cats this week.
Yeah. That was, I think, the only second volleyball match that I actually watched all the way through, and the first time, I might add, that I heard an announcer say hard facial. And
if you're going to be on the other side of a Avery Skinner
Wow.
kill. And
Oh.
I'm thinking maybe that's not the word you want to use right now because, whoa.
Right. And the sportsmanship was just top notch. She's like,
What?
well, I'm sorry. I mean, they
And I know there was no malicious. I mean, you can't be.
no.
She just happened to put her face in the wrong place at the wrong time, and it shook her.
Yeah, hard facial, they say. I'm like, oh, damn.
Well, and the thing was, I mean, you noticed that the arena just went. I mean, you could hear a pin drop. It was just.
Yeah, and eventually the young lady laughed it off. That's good. So
That's part of the game. I mean, that it's. I'll guarantee you, everybody on that court, both sides have taken at some point a ball to the face. They just haven't taken it from Avery Skinner, who. Right. I'm always amazed there are not holes in the floor when her ball hits.
Right. They were shook after that. It seemed to me, like I said, I don't know anything about volleyball, but I watched this match and after that, they were kind of standoffish a little bit. I mean,
well, the other thing that was happening was that, like I said, this is a tremendous offensive team, and they couldn't find a crack in Kentucky's defense anywhere. And I've been following Cats volleyball for probably a good 5-6 years.
Right.
And we've had some excellent teams. We've gotten to the Elite Eight several times. And as I told Hunter, I've seen teams that have played defense like that for a set or maybe a set and a half. I have never seen a Kentucky team that has played defense like that for the entire match, right after doing it for an entire match right before. I mean, the consistency, and they're playing as good as they were all season. They've taken it to a whole other level. And if they beat Purdue tonight, that's Final Four.
Yeah.
That's a new step for the program.
It's amazing that what I watched last night. It started. I was like, oh, okay. It was kind of back and forth. Eventually the Cats won the first set, and then after that, it was, I'm not even going to get close. And it just kept getting worse for Western Kentucky. I mean, it was amazing.
I think at one point in the third set, they were hitting at a like 67%, which is strong stuff.
Right. Now, I heard them kept saying those numbers, and I was just totally lost. But
then, after that last time out that Western called, 100%. Nobody hits 100. Like I said, it was 25-20, then it was 25-17. I think.
16.
There we go. And then 25-10.
Yeah.
And so, like I said, we're Western. Like I said, they may have gotten shook up a little. I think a lot of it was there was a steamroller called Kentucky, and they were just like,
right.
They were kind of like the title of our episode, and now you can work that in. Yeah. I got nothing.
Like I said, the numbers, they kept saying the numbers, and I don't know volleyball. What I do know, after they said the numbers, they were like, that's championship numbers. And so I was like, I was getting excited. I was like, yeah. And I mean, it's 1:00 in the morning here.
I'm going to commend you for actually staying up and watching, because I know you don't do that.
And you called me out last night on Twitter. And then, of course, once you do it, then everybody joins in.
I don't tell them they do the right thing.
And then they go in. Ann was all over me. I was like, oh, well.
It's I grind hard. No, you whine hard. He's a man. What do you expect?
I know. I got nothing.
And she told you your balls were showing.
Yeah.
That was interesting.
Right. Something about, men don't have kids or.
Well, there's a reason that God made us have to have the babies.
Right. Stronger. I can deal with that pain.
I remember when I had gallbladder. It's funny because I remember when I had gallbladder surgery, and you wake up. They got you in post-op, where you recover before they send you on in, back to, because this was outpatient, before they take you back to the room where you have to eat and walk and all that stuff. And I'm sitting there and it hurts. And the nurse comes over and she says, "How much pain are you in?" And I went, "Probably I don't know, a 4, maybe a 5. Okay, we'll give you some crank up the morphine. Now, where my gurney is positioned, the other outpatient things, they're coming in other bays. Here comes a guy that got his pinky. Oh, and I'm like, I had lasers inside my stomach.
Right.
They yanked something that is the size, I don't know, of a nice Roma tomato, and they pulled that out of an opening the size of a penny. You're going to complain about your pinky. And so they have to go, "It's a 10, the pain's a 10. Okay, so here comes a woman. She's had abdominal surgery. She's sitting next to me, and you hear the nurse, "Maybe a 3.
Right.
Then here comes a guy that had his toe operated on. He's screaming. Now you got 2 guys screaming because of a toe and a pinky.
I mean.
And the nurse came back, "How's your pain now?" I said, "Do you have anything that takes away my hearing?"
Right. Right. I mean, I'm not going to argue with that. It is what it is, but I do know that I grind hard, and that was the whole point.
You whine hard too. I'm just saying.
But Ann was all over. I had fun with it, but yeah, I stayed up. Great match. Of course, the Cats, they're unbelievable.
And when you look at something like Maddie Skinner, right? That's a freshman. Now, granted, Gabby Curry. Well, this is her senior season, I do believe. We'll be missing her, but I think they got somebody they're kind of pruning and primping and getting all prepared to be the libero next year. But this particular group, the seniors on this group, they have had an incredible career, and I don't like to be talking about who deserves what, but man, these ladies, they have worked as hard as they can. So there's nothing undeserving about them getting to a national championship. But
they're chasing it.
First things first, let's get them to a Final Four.
Right. They are definitely what I saw last night. They're going after it. And they play tonight. I'm assuming that it's the late game, of course, because
it better be the late game.
Right,
I mean,
that would only be fair. They would only be fair.
Well, we're talking about the NCAA.
Right. That's true.
And you're talking about women.
Right.
So
I mean, I'm laughing, but so true. The NCAA has shown themselves to be that way.
I'm just looking now to see if I can find if they have set the start times yet.
We
do know we play Purdue, which Purdue is
7 seed.
Well, I don't know how they came. Let's see. Oh, it just still says to be announced. We know that Pitt and Washington play at noon. Florida and Wisconsin's the overall number 1 seed.
Right.
If there was ever a time for you to cheer for Florida, and there's not too many of them, I'll grant you.
Yeah.
But this would be a good one because we have beat Florida. Florida beat us once, but we have beat Florida pretty routinely of late. Right. And I think kind of that goes into your mindset somewhat. We know we can beat this team. So if by some chance they announce a time before we finish our show today, we will let you know.
Right.
In the meantime, I was thinking maybe I would go to the transfer portal, but I think it's standing room only. Well, I don't even know if it's standing room only anymore.
There is no room.
None. Although I guess there should be one spot because Askew has said he's going to Texas, so
Right.
he's no longer in the portal. He got on the subway train out of there.
Right. With Chris Beard, which, by the way, was recruiting him pretty hard, as well as Kentucky in the beginning. So, hope he's happy.
I do too. I think he deserves every opportunity for success and for happiness. And the Kentucky fans, like I said, they complained about him. They complained because he transferred. And they complained because he was here.
If everything works out like it normally does, he will go to Texas and he will be like, why did we let him go? He's scoring this many.
And nobody will ever acknowledge, just like we tried to point out, because we didn't have our show last week, so we didn't get to talk about our marathon appearance on the locker.
Yeah, 3-hour show.
Well, see, Anthony said it was us, but it was him. Because if you recall, right around the 1 hour mark, and he asked, all the normal stuff, your social media, and when's your show on, and blah, blah, blah. And I gave all that. And then he went, well, I got one more question.
He kept going.
I mean, now, if you listen to a show with Cameron Mills this past Thursday, or Thursday,
a few days ago, yeah.
He was just all about, how Cal is great and this and that. And our whole show, didn't you get the impression he was
right? Now I watched the Cameron Mills show with the locker, and I thought Anthony was kind of still on his stance as he was with us a little bit.
He was a little bit, and then Cameron, because I guess Cameron had been a player, but Cameron made some of the exact same points you and I did,
right?
And Anthony going, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Cameron put him way better than I did.
but I'm saying it was
the same point.
But I mean, it was the same thing about what Cal does and how you improve between being a freshman and sophomore, and how you don't want to think COVID had anything to do with anything, but COVID had something to do with anything.
Right.
And all of a sudden, because it came out of Cameron Mills' mouth, Anthony's like, yeah, that's good stuff. And with us, but how about blah, 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 blah? How about, I mean, he just went on and said it was us. I mean, he just didn't want to accept our point.
Anthony White, that's just how some of those media types are.
Man, if you ever call Anthony a media type, my gosh.
Right. Man, I love the lock. I love with him and Van Do, man. They're a great show. And I enjoyed it, but 3 hours was a long.
Well, it didn't feel like 3 hours is the funny thing.
Great conversation.
But at the 2 hour mark, that's when I'm looking up there at the little time thing, and I went, well, you were going to sign us off an hour ago. And so, we can, and before I could say wrap it up, he started in again.
Yeah.
So it was not our fault. And then he said, I never tried to close the show. You heard it. You remember it, don't you?
Yeah.
And then Van said the same thing. And I went, you didn't watch it, did you? If you'd watched it, you would have heard.
Right.
And you would have heard how Anthony kept saying that you don't reason with anybody.
Yeah.
But that's a whole other thing. But the whole transfer portal thing, I think Dickie V should be muted from having anything with the word transfer, and any of his tweets they should not post, because I am so fed up with his hypocritical piece of poppycock. Poppycock. How's that for a good word? Poppycock.
Poppycock. He's a hypocrite.
What I'm saying, I tweeted this at one point. I forget who had that, but I guess that's like the benefit of having a huge mouth like Dickie V. It makes it easier to talk out of both sides.
Right.
Just like he went on and on and on about Johnny Juzang and how great it was for UCLA and blah, 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 blah. the transfer rule is the worst thing to happen. It's destroying college basketball. Like, dude, your tweet right before this was about a transfer who got to play immediately.
Right. And then the tweet after would be about another transfer
at Virginia.
Going somewhere else. And then it was back and forth. But JD Hall pointed out that he does that with coaching as well. The coaches that get in trouble. There's
certain coaches.
Yeah.
He will rip on some, but man, he still to this day, I think he would have gladly paid for the hooker for Pitino.
Right. I believe so. You can't be that way with where he's at. It's hard. And people went in on him.
If you're going to call out a thing, a rule, a behavior, a criminal activity, then you better be prepared to call it out for everybody that it impacts and not. Because I promise you, if Coach K had been if the same set of events had happened that, say, happened with Sean Miller at Arizona.
Yeah.
Dickie V would never have said one word.
Right.
Nothing.
Yeah. He didn't say anything during the whole Zion thing.
Oh,
Dickie
no. Well, he didn't either about Corey Maggette and,
so you can't, just no. And people went in on him, told him about himself, and he backtracked and, well, let me say, no.
Yeah, they wanted to clarify that. No. Well, when you clarify, you're not changing. You're actually stepping in a little bit deeper.
Right.
Because if you want to clarify what I meant in these circumstances, then how come you didn't say anything about this and this?
Right. Wasn't no saving face. Yeah. What was no saving face?
No.
After all the tweets that he sent out, nah. So I can see a lot of people why they don't like Dickie V now, because I've always liked Dickie V. I thought he brought some fun to the game in the announcement world. But man, he's just, if he's on your side, okay, you're not going to get the bad rap. If not, you're going to get thrown under the bus, and that sucks.
Oh, yeah. Man, and since we mentioned Miller, so this stuff's been going on for 3 years?
Yeah.
Now, one would think if you're going to get fired over it, fire him now.
Right.
Be done. But they didn't do that.
No.
You think, okay, well, you'll wait till the end of this season. Then we'll fire him. They didn't do that. Let's call a spade a darn shovel.
Yeah.
They fired him because he didn't win enough. Period.
Right.
They wanted to say, well, with all these things, the investigation and implications of what he's blah, blah. Hogwash. Now what you've done, you waited till the end of this season.
Right.
Now you fired him. After there's other schools that have already got a head start that were making a plan for their schools. They've already got their feelers out to get the best available out there.
Yeah.
Now Arizona doesn't have a coach. And they have a looming hammer smackdown from the NCAA.
Yeah.
Or worse.
Yeah. So which makes it so much more difficult to bring a new guy in, and then you get new.
Yeah, how you gonna get it? First off, how you gonna get a coach in, but how you gonna get players that don't?
Right.
And it's so 10 kinds of screwed up.
They have to be subject to the punishment, and they're like, "Well, we wasn't here."
Well, that's how the NCAA and how do you? That's like a double-edged sword. You have to punish when rules are broken, but because you find out about the broken rules after a certain period of time and some of the parties involved are gone.
Yeah.
How do you tell me how you punish without it impacting innocent people?
Right. That's Louisville's about to find out. Because this is where I was with it. Because they cleaned house. So what they fired everybody.
But let's be clear. They fired everybody after the second or third time that they kept doing. I mean,
right. Still,
it wasn't enough for the coaches. This went to the president of the university.
right. Everybody
It was that level.
Still, so when they catch punishment, it's everyone that's involved now was not part of none of it.
Well, you had a board of trustees. I'm going to guess. I mean, but you cannot not punish them. Is
Right.
the whole thing.
I'm talking about as far as players and coaching and.
Well, I know, but you can't not punish. And the coaches knew. The coaches knew, and whether if they thought they could build something, that's great. Apparently, they're not getting Askew. Whoever started that stuff.
True. I heard that a lot.
But from who?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I could send a message to somebody and say, well, I got a buddy that works at IU, and he told me that Keon Brooks been up there twice.
Right.
Well, you want to bet by 4:00 today, Brooks is transferring to Indiana.
Right.
I don't have a friend in Indiana.
Right. It's who you tell, though. Are they going to tell? Or are they going to do a little more investigating?
Oh, no, I mean, I know the proper people to tell. I know exactly who doesn't investigate. So
Right. So we got the transfer. There's a lot of them, and Coach Cal and Kentucky have reached out to about 80.
Now, here's the thing: is that somebody said, "Well, if the guards he recruited are so good, then why is he reaching out to anybody?" Have we ever heard of injuries?
Yeah. I mean, he's reaching out to everybody. And a lot of people are, some of the things that I'm saying is this a plan or is this just scrambling? Because you're reaching out to everybody.
Well, there's no way for him to know who's going to be available until they put their name out there. So how can you have planned to reach out to someone that you didn't know was going to be there?
Right. I think the plan is not to get caught without those pieces anymore. So, I mean, I don't know, but I mean, I think we'll know soon who's staying.
Did they read the book? Maybe he read the book.
I mean,
just while I'm mentioning that, I know you got your segment on Religiously Kentucky about the dumbest stuff on Twitter.
Oh, yeah.
Because I don't think you got to have profanity to say that.
Right.
Apparently you do.
I do.
Which is kind of sad. Once again, don't use a GIF, Jay. Use your big boy words. They had nothing to do with pants, which was really more disturbing to me that you thought pants had anything to do with words. But
I was just being silly, though. See, y'all were coming.
But no,
I'm just going to be silly.
No, I just said, when you can only reply with the GIF, which didn't make any sense and wasn't like even relevant to the conversation.
It was. You were like, I was wrong. And I said, survey says, you're wrong. Because I'm not always wrong.
You were wrong on that one.
Most of the time I'm right.
Okay, right. Well, survey says wrong. Anyway, last night, because when Mark Story just said, well, it looks like a match is going to be delayed, not come until 11:30ish. That was before they announced the official time. And he said, but it makes you wonder how come the women, especially in overall, I don't understand how they do things with volleyball, but the overall number 2 seed for the women is like playing in the middle of the night. Why does that happen? And this one, I'm not even going to give his account a shout out, but he said, whining. Like Mark Story is the least whiny journalist that's out there. One of the most balanced. He presents facts. And when people dispute from either side, he will, I see that, however, or, well, that's kind of the point I was making, whatever. But nobody seems to I want to block Mark. Nobody ever says that.
Right.
And he has that great balance. And he's just a super nice guy. So I'm thinking, why is this guy saying whining? And I thought maybe it's a joke. So I look at his timeline.
Yeah. Negative. Negative.
As they said, football and practice, they got the playbook out and doing whatever. Yeah. Oh yeah, the book made the difference. Oh, so does this running back read the book? Is that what's going to make it different? The book. Oh, I know what. Kentucky's got the greatest coaching job in the SEC because you can only win 54% of your games, and you get a $5 million bonus. I mean,
right.
It was like 100 tweets that were nothing but, and he was following every Kentucky journalist and and all they're doing, stating the fact. They weren't like, this is good, this is bad, this was a quote. And he just goes in on every one of them. Like, so you can have your dumbest stuff on Twitter. I got like the most worthless accounts on Twitter.
Right. It's amazing out there. And it's the gift that keeps on giving.
That's not a gift, man. That's a punishment. We didn't deserve it.
It's comedy. That's how I got to look at it. It is comedy and it's recreation for me. That's
I just I want to have a virtual stick and I want to get into my Twitter feed. That's kind of what I want to do.
Right. It's wild out there.
But anyway, I hope you appreciated me sharing that timeline with you because I figure there's got to be at least 1 or 2 tweets on there that qualify for your segment.
Yeah. There was
1 or 2,000.
There were plenty. Yeah.
I don't. If you're that miserable with the program you support,
yeah,
it's probably just say probably time to find another program.
Right.
That's all I got to say about that.
Just saying.
Before I forget, I cannot forget because a friend of mine, as a matter of fact, we became friends because of Twitter back several years ago. And she's actually been really supportive while my daughter and grandson have been going through their various things. And so it's nice to have somebody that provides you that support. Her nephew is 16 years old and lives in Ohio. He's in the middle of Buckeye country.
Oh.
Bless his heart. He has a Facebook group. If you want, and a lot of the larger groups right now, Drama Central.
Right.
You can't go in and have a discussion about anything without it. You just can't.
Right. Now there's a lot of great Kentucky Facebook groups too.
There are, but there's a lot that have got nothing but drama. So
right.
Kentucky Basketball Information. That's the name of the group.
Right.
You have to be approved, but please show this young man some love. He is, like I said, he needs some support and some friends, and he puts out facts.
Right.
He will put out information. It's what it is. He puts out information, and the people discuss it without, well, you're stupid. Why? Oh, you are.
Right.
And I always want to go, you're stupid what?
Yeah. It's an actual Kentucky discussion information group.
Yes, I think I sent you an invitation to it.
Yeah, I'm there. I love that group.
Well, there you go.
Well, say it again. What's the group?
Kentucky Basketball Information.
That's right. Go check it out. Join. Be a part of it.
Seriously, like I said, when you got somebody that can stand up for their go big blueness,
right,
in the middle of Buckeye country.
Yeah. What's his name?
Shirley didn't tell me his name.
Oh, we got to find out now. We got to.
Oh well, I will find out.
As a matter
of fact, I can probably find out while we are recording. So hopefully, before this is over, we'll know the name.
Right.
But we'll make sure that we mention him in our promos too, because.
Oh yeah.
Okay. So I mentioned football.
Yeah.
I wish we had something to talk about.
Well, I mean,
nothing going on in football with, no spring games. So there's just absolutely nothing of interest to talk about in football, right?
Wrong.
Man, Big Dog had about a dozen sets of dice, man.
Yeah.
And oh my gosh.
Big time. Big time rolls.
When I saw one picture, especially with that lineman or Goodwin
Yeah.
hugging Wandale Robinson. I thought it was like his little brother. When I first saw the picture, just long glance going,
Right.
oh, look at that. Isn't that cute? He's like his little brother picking up his little brother and hugging him.
Right.
Then I realized it was Wandale, and I went, he looks like a little rag doll in comparison with this size. And this dude has lost, 150 pounds?
Yeah.
Holy smoking heck.
Those big time recruits. Kentucky is doing. Let me just say, I mean, the Big Blue Wall is a thing. Like it's not going nowhere.
It's not some phrase that
Right.
that the big dog came up with, just like, this would be cool. We have a nickname. No.
Right.
They are a literal Big Blue Wall. And
Right.
I think they referred to Goodwin as a this cracked me, plug and play. Like, you don't have to do the red shirt stuff. This dude is ready. What's the spot on the line? Plug him in. He can play.
Yeah. Man.
Much like being across the net from Avery Skinner, I would not want to be across the line from this dude.
Right. I mean, a lot of great things are coming from Kentucky, and I believe it's part of producing these guys,
Developing
these guys, and oh man, it's paying off big.
Well,
time.
they got the book.
They got the book.
That's going to be our line for everything now. They got the book.
That
changes everything because they got the book.
That's so true.
But now here's the greatest thing. It's not just recruiting. I mean, and how many 4 and 5 stars is that? Just like in the last month. I mean, they're just like one leads to another, leads to another, leads to another. But getting the Twins out of Tennessee's backyard.
Yeah.
That, to me, makes their impact that much greater because Louisville's not signing anybody. Tennessee's got some like incredible talent right there next to their stadium, and they go, yeah, we're going to Kentucky. See you later.
Yeah. Yeah. Shows where that program's gone.
Well, and it shows you what Louisville's like. They're not even going after any, like they're waiting. They're what is like all the 5 stars are just going to show up.
Yeah.
I mean, I think their fans went like really crazy over a couple of 3 stars, and I'm like,
yeah. I mean,
and then they said that our recruiting class was average at best.
Looking pretty good. It's looking great, actually.
It's time for my quarterly reminder that you cannot spell delusional without UL.
Yeah. Facts. And Kentucky is just doing it in football. A lot of good vibes still coming from practice, which a lot of people mad that the media couldn't get into the last spring practice. You wasn't mad, were you? Because you're not a big K fund donor? Because they got to get in. But the average fan and some of the media were not allowed.
Well, some of the media doesn't, but there's a few of them that don't deserve to be there anyway, but I'm not naming names. But I'm thinking them. People can get all upset about, he treats the K-Fund donors this way and that, and they it's not fair, blah, 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 blah. Just remember it's K-Fund donors and if you wanted to have a really nice stadium.
Right.
If you wanted to have a state-of-the-art practice facility.
Right. that
maybe
develop-
it's not fair, but man, it's the money's got to come from somewhere. If you still want to have, even though ticket prices still kind of tend to go up, but they haven't gone up dramatically. They have not gone up in the same relation to the success of the program.
Right.
The increases have been modest, and there are still, they still have a section, a fairly good section, of where you can get season tickets and not have to make the K. Here's my problem with the K fund. It's when, you get your season ticket package. It's this much plus your however many dollar K fund donation.
Yeah.
Now, if I want to donate blood, nobody makes me, nobody forces me. I show up at the Red Cross here for blood donation. They thank me, they take my blood. If I want to donate to the American Cancer Society, they'll start sending me little things in the mail, trying to get more money, of course, but it's always thank you for supporting us. Thank you for your donation.
Right.
We're not going to charge you more for getting cancer if you didn't donate.
Right.
Because a donation is something that is freely given. So why do you call it a K fund donation? You get these tickets that cost this amount of money plus your required K fund donation. Why don't you just say your K fund fee? That's what it is. It is a fee. It's no longer a donation if it is required that you give this amount for you to have these particular season tickets.
Right.
That's not a donation.
Well, if they say, and it's on paper and it's written down as a donation, then someone like me is going to say, well, I'm not going to give a donation. Because you got it worded as donation.
Exactly.
I'm not obligated to give you anything.
Exactly. That's what I'm like, call it what it is. It is a fee.
Right.
Plain, pure, and simple. It's a fee. It's required. Nobody donating anything. Now, there's a lot of people that donate.
Right. But
good on them.
Right. A lot of people were mad. I say a lot of people. Some people were mad that they couldn't get in to watch that. Couple things come out. Everything was still positive coming out of this practice. Everything talking about players and everybody is doing great. And I mean, man, I can't wait to make a prediction for this year.
Oh, wait, this would be like a really big surprise.
Right. Right.
I already know what your stupid prediction is. So just don't even.
Because I'm going to be serious this year.
Yeah, right.
I'm going to be serious and I'm going to make a real football prediction. I'm not going to be outlandish. I'm going to make a real prediction on this season.
Yes, and I have some beautiful oceanfront property in Kentucky that's for sale.
Wow.
If you're interested.
Wow.
You can't help it. You cannot be serious.
I'm going to be serious and show people that I know what I'm talking about when it comes to football, that I know what I'm talking about when it comes to basketball, that I know what I'm talking about when it comes to volleyball.
Okay, there we go. That's the whole thing, Jay. That's how you get yourself in trouble.
Right.
If you would say this much, you could be fine.
Right.
But no, then you
gotta go on with it. Right. But no, I'm serious. I am going to make some good.
You're the Dickie V of Kentucky podcast.
Wow.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I just went there.
No. I know. And that's why I'm going to edit this whole little part out. So
that's okay. Well, it doesn't matter.
No, I'm just kidding. But that
you can edit it out on the audio, but anybody watches the replay here.
I delete this too.
Well, man. I thought you said you had your big boy pants on.
I do, and I'm just kidding. I won't do that. But
apparently your balls really are showing.
Right.
I say that because that's what somebody said to him last night. I had to,
right.
As much as Jay's gift made no sense, the fact that he said he had on big boy pants and they said your balls were showing really made no sense.
Nobody's wearing pants through a pandemic. Everybody's at home. That's where it was at. So
I know, but that doesn't still pants on. If you didn't have pants, I mean, you would have to have no underwear as well. And I ain't nobody got time for that. I don't care how long you lock down.
Yeah, that's nuts. Crazy. But anyway.
Oh man. Well, the good thing is it did take us 45 minutes to go off the rails. So
Yeah. Anyway, what else do we got?
well, tomorrow night there's a rematch in baseball.
Oh yeah.
A couple of weeks ago, which we didn't mention, well, because it happened the day after our podcast, was Kentucky traveled down the road to Louisville to face the number 7 team in the nation.
Yeah.
And spanked their butts.
Yeah.
It wasn't even close. I mean, just bam, killed, loved it. Great. Now Louisville's coming to Kentucky Proud Park tomorrow night, so there will be that rematch. Baseball is actually struggling less than softball, which is shocking to me.
Right.
Although softball, they did win at Auburn yesterday. I didn't realize at the time they lost the series, but they at least won one game. First time they had won anything at Auburn since 2012.
Wow.
I didn't realize it had been that long to win anything down there, but they've kind of got to get the ship righted and quickly for any kind of NCAA stuff. It has been brutal. They have, and it's not lack of talent. It's not lack of ability. It's been mental errors.
Yeah.
That has killed them, and at least 5 of their losses has been nothing more than mental errors. That's what crushes me.
Right. They must listen to our podcast.
You must. You play your best, and the other team outplays you. I can be disappointed. I can be sad. I can feel bad for the team. But when your own team, when you have it in your grasp and you check out mentally.
Right. When you beat
Let's
yourself.
play here. Yeah.
I hate
That's that. What frustrates me to no end. Totally frustrates. I know that there's something else here to Jamal Murray.
Oh no.
That just
what was that? ACL?
Yes.
Yeah.
That man.
I know Shea Gilgeous-Alexander's out for a couple weeks too with a foot injury.
So that's the only way that Kentucky, you're not going to dominate the NBA. You got to take them out with injuries.
No, well, Julius Randle's dominating. He's a beast. He is a beast. Kentucky,
well, then he shared the Kobe Bryant story.
Yeah.
About how, because I think I sent you the clip to that one.
Yeah.
Well, it was other things where he talked about his time at Kentucky. And that, how Coach Cal approaches them. And I'm sure there's players going to be or fans are going to be ticked off about that. But if you get somebody that over the course of the season, they can be maybe a second round pick and they play themselves into lottery pick position.
Yeah.
How does that not benefit the team?
I don't know. To some people, it doesn't. I'll never get that. But
also, NCAA proposing some basketball rule changes. Nothing that is even this is what we need for the men's game. Make it quarters. Reset the team foul count each quarter. Every other level of basketball does this. Why can we not have quarters? You say, too many free throws. Well, guess what? If you reset the foul count at each quarter, you're gonna cut free throws by a significant portion. You're not going to have the and one.
Right.
With a bonus, if you will. You be the 1+.
How about they work on that charge call?
I mean, exactly. Just be done with it, because obviously, now I know your buddy JD thinks that the 6 foul suggestion is good. Well, that's just stupid.
I don't.
You say the game is not watchable as it is. This is the games have been impacted because somebody sat in the first half.
Right.
not that huge of a percentage. And if you think adding a foul is going to change any of that, you're dead wrong, because you already said what the problem is. The officials can't keep up. The game is too fast for them. The officials say this.
Yeah.
And then the officials, he said, add an official. Okay, what? So 4 people can make bad calls? Is that going to stop Doug Shows from being on this side of the court, the one way over here?
Yeah.
When the play was way over there.
Yeah.
And there's 2 officials already there. Is that going to stop him from making a bad call? No. You're just going to have 4 slugs on the court to, we got
those are the things they need to change.
That's exactly. That's the whole thing. There needs to be.
Ref cannot make that call. The ref that's on that play has to make the call. Those are the things that need to be changed. I mean,
change the hand signal for the charge, and that will, I'm telling you, that will do more than the NCAA has with any of all this other convoluted crap. Just
right. I don't like adding another foul either. I wasn't for that.
In 89-90, and I remember this so well because that's the year, first year Patino was here. We were on probation, and the only way you could watch any of the games was when WKYT did the replay at 11:30.
Yeah.
Which, I think my dad had a lifetime of training for the volleyball thing last night. I had to stay up a lot of time just to watch. And these other kids, they don't understand having to stay up till 11:30 to watch, to see a road, to see a replay. You might catch a road game on live sometimes, but more often than not, if you wanted to see Kentucky play, 11:30, and I did. But we played LSU. They came into Rupp ranked number 8. And I had that on, I taped it on my VCR. Yes, I'm aging myself. I get it.
Wow.
What's funny was like 4 or 5 years later, going through some of my tapes, like, oh man, gotta put that tape in, because that was back when they had Shaq and they had,
you still have a VCR?
Well, yeah.
Okay.
And it's still flashing 12 o'clock, just like it ought to.
Yeah.
That's not true. When I use my VCR all the time, of course, I had to have the right time or you couldn't program. But, I've got one. It works. I've got 200 basketball games on videotape.
Nice.
The entire 96 tournament, 98 tournament.
You need to get those put on DVD.
Well, if I had the equipment, I would, but I don't. So
take them to somebody.
I'm poor. I can't spend thousands of dollars on podcasting equipment. I relied on getting a gift of my fancy schmancy microphone. Anyway, Stanley Robertson, was that his name? I think that was the other big dude on LSU that played with Shaq. And of course, they had Chris Jackson, who is now Mahmoud Abdul Rauf.
He was a beast.
Well, he scored 40-something points. He could. Man, if Kentucky had him on the team this year, we'd have been undefeated.
Right.
But they come into Rupp. They're ranked number 8. We're nothing. We got nothing. And we started out with like a 20-point lead in the first half. And, it settled down. It kind of leveled off a little bit by the end of the first half. In the second half, it just became like a heavyweight fight.
Right.
But we ended up winning, which was like fantastic because we went undefeated at home that year, which was miraculous. But anyhow, like I said, so several years later, I popped that tape in. And, some of the finer details escape you. Kind of how the flow went, big lead. But, man, all of a sudden, Shaq gets his second foul early in the second half. And you're like, why didn't they put him on the bench? Then he got his third. And I'm like, well, I'm pretty sure he fouled out. But, wow, I don't remember Dale Brown doing this. And then I remembered that was the year they experimented, at least in the SEC, with 6 fouls.
Right.
And the only change that I could tell that made was it afforded Shaquille O'Neal significantly more playing time than he would have gotten otherwise, because he had 3 fouls in the first half of every game, I believe.
Right.
But
Well, don't they usually experiment with these in the what's the other tournament?
NIT.
NIT tournament. Don't they experiment with
They
some
do. I
rules?
mean, that wasn't what they did back in the, like I said, back in the conferences could do
Right.
specific things. But I think it's very telling because a year or two later, the Big East did the same experiment. And that's two of your Power 5 conferences. And both of them reached the same conclusion.
Don't work.
It doesn't fix whatever it is we were trying to fix. It doesn't fix it.
Right.
So, no, it's not going to, there whatever possible benefit you say, well, it's if a player gets a bad call and then has to go to the bench because of that bad call, that'll prevent that. No, it won't. They can just make 2 bad calls.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
we're talking about these refs, right?
that's what I'm saying. Until you get, and it's kind of like got to be a 3-pronged approach. There needs to be accountability by the officials.
That's it.
There isn't.
That's the big.
You start with accountability, where they have to explain some of these things.
Right.
The other thing that would be big, because the NCAA could, if they chose to do so, they could afford to pay officials. And maybe that's a fee that goes back to the conferences, or the conferences pay a certain amount to the NCAA to help defray the expenses of that. But then, because you've got them paid, you have them under one umbrella where they all get trained the same way, where they're all calling the games the same way.
Right.
But, like, if you get an SEC official in the NCAA tournament and you're playing Big Ten basketball, well, of course, like, what do they mean that's a foul? Well, and they're sitting there scratching their heads. Meanwhile, Kentucky's like, hey, we got some Big 12 officials. Yeah, score.
Right. Big difference. Very big difference.
Then also the other thing, the officials right now, as it stands, they have to book their own gigs.
Right.
So for them to make a living wage, as if you will, they have to book as many games as possible. Sometimes that might be 6 games in a week. You're going to tell me that their legs are fresh enough? Why is the game too fast for them?
Right.
They're traveling from here to here. When you build in the travel time to that too, if they were paid by the NCAA, they would know exactly what they're getting. You get this is how many games you're going to cover. This is what your salary is.
Right. They suck right now. They suck.
They do. And like I said, and please, if we could do away, because this hurts more than anything else, it's whenever they have the point of emphasis this year. So my thing on that, so like, what was the year of the arc there under the basket? That was the point of emphasis. People were getting too close to the basket and they were calling charges. The point of emphasis, make sure they're outside that arc. It can't be a charge unless they're outside that arc.
Right.
Okay, well, that was always the rule. So why do you have to make it a point of emphasis to get the officials to enforce it? Shouldn't every rule be a point of emphasis? Because, 1 year, the 5-second call was the point of emphasis. I mean, you had 5-second calls. They were like going like popcorn in the microwave, man. They were everywhere. Well, the game didn't change. It wasn't like people suddenly were guarding somebody in one place for 5 seconds. It's been that way. You haven't been calling it.
Right.
So, I mean, I know it's a lot to ask for, but consistency, accountability, and everybody being trained by the same rules, because it ain't happening.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree.
Well, because I'm right.
I mean, I wouldn't go that far, but I agree with this.
Well, because I'm right.
What you're saying.
Because I'm right. Well, I'm right.
Yeah, on this little topic we're talking about right
on many little topics and many big topics and all the other topics in between. But like to point out, they still have not announced a time for tonight's match. I will say it's got to be after.
It's going to be the 9:00 game.
Well, let me see. So you got a 6:30 and a 6:30 if they're allowing I get, and I think if they really wanted to screw Kentucky, it looks like there'd be an opening around 3:00 to have a game. That should be Nebraska, Texas, because they both played earlier.
Yeah.
But if that were the case, then that would throw Kentucky around 9:00 because you got a 6:30 that's going to go to 8 minimum, and then you got the 45 minutes. So I would say 9:00 earliest.
Yeah.
That's my take on that. Unless they, like I said, really want to screw the overall number 2 seed in the tournament and make them play before they have breakfast.
Yeah, which could happen.
No, because they got the noon game. Noon's the earliest they're going.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised, is all I'm saying. I wouldn't be surprised. But I do think it'll be the 9:00 game. Hopefully that would be right because they were playing at 1 a.m. this morning. So, give them some time. Another late game that sucks, but I'll be up watching it.
I've been watching them for years, so.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying.
I'm just saying.
I'm just now tuning in.
Well,
I'm supporting.
If I hadn't called you out on Twitter last night, would you have watched?
Yes, I planned on watching already. Because if you had noticed that I had been retweeting and liking a lot of stuff that Hunter Mitchell has been tweeting out.
Well, that's not the same as watching on TV.
No. What I'm saying is my interest in the volleyball. That's what I was getting at.
Well, I'll be watching today because he's not. I asked him, like, you going to do the breakdown on Purdue like you did on Western?
I saw that.
No.
Yeah.
Since it's so late at night. Well, Hunter, they finished the game as quickly as they could to give you all the time in the world.
They did. Didn't
matter to Hunter.
No.
Well, that's okay. Whatever tweets he has, he will get us the information we need to know. I still do not have the nephew's name for Kentucky basketball information. When I find that out, we'll pass that along. But it still does not prevent you from going to Facebook.com/Kentucky basketball information.
Right. Great group.
And they generally approve new members in a couple of hours. Unless he's in school. So, give him the evening.
Quick time.
By the way, spring is in Kentucky. I'd like to point that out. You've probably noticed everything blooming.
Yeah.
Everybody sneezing, coughing, nose running. Yeah. All the signs of spring. Tomorrow, we're going to be on the verge of summer because that's what happens in Kentucky. You get spring rolling and then you get summer-like weather until tomorrow night when we have a chance of snow sticking. I'm not lying.
Right.
Chris Bailey tweeted that out. And Chris Bailey, he's the weatherman at WKYT. He has got one of the most entertaining Twitters, especially during ball games. Yeah. He's a huge UK fan. I mean, football and basketball, but he's got an opinion on those things. And when he tweets something, there's people, of course, we know the big, ugly nation. You need to stick to the weather, Chris. You need to stick to the weather. So he tweeted last night about that's going to be 70 degrees Tuesday. And a good chance of snow sticking on the ground Tuesday night. Won't be for long, because it's warmed up, but still.
Yeah.
So I just replied with #stick to sports.
The sarcasm is thick.
Oh, so Chris and I, we go back a ways. Many nights when he'd be posting all these weather updates, I'm like the only one awake, so I'd be interacting in real time.
Well,
beyond that, like I said, baseball tomorrow, volleyball tonight. Probably some more football recruits to sign.
Yeah, and some information coming this week on basketball. So some basketball news this week.
Well, I mean, I don't know how much stock do you put into Mintz and Toppin and Brooks and who was the fourth?
Where?
They're working out together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean, I mean, you like to see it, but yeah, that doesn't, I mean, different team players work out together all the time.
I mean, after, Nick Richards, after he announced last year, he was still working out with some of his old teammates.
Yeah.
All of them that announced, they're all working out. Does that mean they're changing their minds? They're coming back.
Right. I mean, it could be a sign. I could see that, but yeah, I mean,
there's people that are holding a whole lot of hope on this.
Yeah.
Brooks was wearing UK stuff.
Yeah.
So was Julius Randle. So was Nerlens Noel. So was Anthony Davis.
Right. Yeah, still are. They still are. And
well, I mean, that's my whole point. I mean, yeah, I saw. That's how many people I saw wearing UK stuff this week. Your point.
But I mean, you would think, if it was really something to a kid transferring, you wouldn't see them on Instagram wearing UK stuff. You wouldn't see them practicing. I could see where guys.
I'd never bought into the Brooks transfer stuff in the first place. I figured there were two options for him. He was either going to declare and see, go through the process, if not necessarily get an agent, but go through the process, get his feedback, find out what he needs to work on. And if he thought it was this much work, then go to the G League, start getting a paycheck.
Right.
Or he's coming back. It was just that simple.
Right.
And I don't see any way, shape, or form that it benefits him to transfer at this point.
Right.
That's me.
We should find something out this week with a transfer, or if someone's leaving, staying, decisions. We'll find something.
They got. I mean, there's a deadline looming.
Yeah. So soon we'll find.
I mean, in a perfect world, Mintz comes back. I think having him and then saying I'm going to pull an A-dot on us and sit there and lose my mind on the point guard. I know it starts with an H.
Hickman.
Thank you.
Whew. Yeah.
I'll come up with
freshman coming in.
He's supposed to be the real deal.
Real deal. And everything I've seen of him, he's legit.
Everything I've read, seen, heard has been. I haven't heard any knocks on it at all. That he's that. Right. But you can't tell me having a Davion Mintz with a year of experience in the SEC and under Cal.
Yeah.
You can't tell me that doesn't mean a lot.
Right.
So anyway, next week the show won't be called I Got Nothin. Like I said, when you promoted, it was Kentucky's volleyball opponents. They got nothing.
Yeah.
Let's hope that holds true again tonight. Don't forget, cheer on the Cats at Kentucky Proud Park. There's almost always Louisville game could be iffy, but you could call to see if they have any tickets left. Like I said, with the limited seating, it's kind of iffy, but give it a whirl. And if you do go to Kentucky Proud Park, be sure to take a brand new teddy bear with you. Yeah. They are donating all the teddy bears to the Kentucky Children's Hospitals for the families of patients there. And having a grandson who has gotten to spend several fun-filled weeks at that resort. They do great things. There's great staff. I think they have collected over 570 something bears. That's pretty good. And they've been anything from little bitty bears to the great big one, so very cool. And the tickets, if you get a ticket, man, they're cheap. The park's beautiful, great food. And it's not supposed to snow until later in the night, up until Wednesday morning. So take a jacket, but it's not going to snow on you tomorrow night. That's all I got to say about that.
All right. Well, take us out.
Well, I don't know where you're going. I don't know where I'm going. All I know is wherever we go, whatever we do.
We're always rocking Kentucky Blue.
Thanks for listening to the Rockin' Kentucky Blue podcast. You can find us on iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, Spotify, Radio Public, or wherever you get your podcasts. Be sure to stop by and leave us a rating and review. And tune in next time for another episode of Rockin' Kentucky Blue.